Caleb and Maggie were madly in love, and they were more than ready to finally tie the knot. When Maggie and Caleb finally finished high school, they began to see one another in a different light, and now that they were older, the priorities in their lives were changing. Slowly, the pair began to realize that there might be potential for something more, although they couldn't pinpoint the exact moment that it happened. Something had changed. Yes, they were both still very busy with certain goals to accomplish. But they decided to try and make time for the other no matter what. They wanted to see where this relationship might take them, and whether it was worth a long wait. As they started spending more and more time together, the romantic connection that they had became impossible to ignore. Caleb and Maggie officially began dating as a couple in the fall of 2013, and their families were thrilled. As time went on, the couple began to realize how deep their connection was and how much they had in common. They were happy and in love. Caleb and Maggie were young, but he knew without question that she was the love of his life. He wanted to marry her, but he was nervous. He knew that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with Maggie, but he had no idea if she felt the same way. Still, he decided that the risk was worth it. He resolved to tell her how much he loved her, and went to the store to pick out the perfect ring. Being traditional, Caleb first asked Maggie's parents for permission to ask for her hand. They happily agreed, with her parents' blessing, the ring and his faith in God. He asked Maggie to be his wife and spend the rest of their lives together. Much to his relief, Maggie enthusiastically said yes. That was one of the happiest days of the young couple's lives so far. They would only be 22 of their wedding day, but they knew they were doing the right thing. With their love for each other and their faith in God, nothing could go wrong, or at least that's what they wanted to believe. Caleb and Maggie had always hardworking and focused, even when they were in school. Despite being young, they were very mature and goal-oriented. As he had always planned, Caleb had become a Marine. It was a demanding job, but it was what he had always wanted to do. He believed that serving his country was an honor. This was difficult, however, on his family life, as he was often away for long periods of time. The couple missed each other. Maggie, as always, was supportive and took care of things at home while he was gone. It was hard on Maggie, not knowing what was going on with Caleb at this time. Caleb had always been very driven and entered into the Marine Corps when he was only 19, by the time he and Maggie were to be married. He had been an active Marine for 3 years. Why this was quite an achievement. It also foreshadowed what their life together would be like. They knew going in what his job would entail. But what would the demands of his career mean for their marriage? Maintaining a long-distance relationship with two demanding careers can be very incredibly difficult, but Caleb and Maggie loved each other and were determined to make it work. They also both had a strong belief in God, which not only strengthened their relationship but also their beliefs that everything would work out. They put their trust in God and waited. They knew they would be together again soon and that God had a plan for them. The wedding grew closer and closer, and Caleb and Maggie still hadn't found a photographer. However, they had faith that it would somehow all work out. Around that time, one of the couple's friends gave them a few suggestions, including Dwayne Schmidt, who was a popular and extremely talented photographer. But the couple knew it would be difficult to book him on such short notice. They hoped and prayed that he might be available. Maggie and Caleb contacted Dwayne, and they all met shortly before the wedding. Dwayne showed them his portfolio, and the couple were so impressed that they asked him to photograph their wedding then and there. Miraculously, Dwayne was available and agreed. After that, Dwayne called Maggie and Caleb. He was in the hospital and had to have emergency surgery to remove kidney stones. He hoped that he would be well enough by the time the wedding came, but as the surgery seemed as though it would be quite difficult. He had no idea whether he would recover in time. Maggie and Caleb didn't know what they should do. Should they look for another photographer? Postpone the wedding? Hope that Dwayne would recover in time? As they had always done in the past, the two put their faith in God and decided to pray that Dwayne would be well enough. After his surgery, the couple heard from Dwayne again. Everything had gone very well. A few days before the wedding, Caleb called Dwayne for an update. Dwayne surprised them by saying that he was fully recovered and would be at their wedding as planned. Caleb was extremely traditional, and surprisingly, then, he and Maggie had decided that they would not see each other before the actual wedding ceremony. Nevertheless, Caleb had a special plan in mind for his bride-to-be. The day of the wedding finally arrived, and Dwayne was circulating among Maggie and Caleb's family and friends, taking all sorts of photos. He wanted to document every aspect of the couple's special day that he could think of. After a while, just as he and Caleb had discussed, Dwayne made his way into the room where Maggie was waiting with her bridesmaids. He knew Caleb's plans, but he wasn't sure what the photographs would show. Dwayne stayed with Maggie and her bridal party as they were getting ready, and he took lots of photos of the process. He captured them chatting, putting on makeup, and getting their hair done. He wanted to make sure to document everything. Meanwhile, he was waiting for Caleb to arrive. When he came in through the back of the room, Dwayne could see that Caleb was very nervous. Maggie did not see Caleb and had no idea that he had come in. She was standing around the corner. The other woman did, however, and waited with anticipation to see what he would do. Caleb kept his eyes down, so that he would not be able to see Maggie in her dress, and slowly moved towards her. He could hardly believe that the moment they had been building up to for so long was almost here. The couple had decided that they would not look at one another until they had made their vows in the ceremony. They wanted their first glimpse at each other to happen after they had declared their commitment in front of God and their loved ones. Standing on opposite sides of the doorway, Caleb reached out with his hand, searching for Maggie's. With the couple still not looking at one another, their hands connected, and both began crying. They had waited for so long, and the moment was finally here. Dwayne was at the ready, doing everything he could to capture this beautiful and tender moment between the pair. Caleb and Maggie were engrossed with one another. The rest of the world was a million miles away. Still, their friends and family noticed the pair and were overcome with emotion. At that moment, the couple had decided to say a prayer together. They were both overwhelmed with emotion, but through their tears, they asked God to bless their marriage and to support them through their life together. Everyone in the room was emotional as well. Maggie was completely shocked by what happened next. She and Caleb had planned to continue to pray together. However, in that moment, she heard Caleb's voice. He spoke to the entire room about his love for Maggie and his faith in God. He had been planning and preparing this speech for days, but Maggie had no idea. She stood in shock, listening in silence to every word Caleb said. Caleb and Maggie started to garner online fame because everyone loved their story and what the photo presented. People were also taken with Dwayne's talent because he had captured such a tender and emotional moment. People could feel the love and commitment that the couple felt for each other and for God. Dwayne also received a lot of attention because of the photo, as people kept sharing and resharing it on social media. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe.